All right. Good morning, Seminole fans. This is another morning episode of the Shampoo Effect. Thank you, Marshall, for the name. Uh, Maybe third or fourth installment of the Shampoo Effect. We're gonna have a special guest on for you guys here in a little bit. Sponsored by Grizzly Wintergreen. But yeah, so yeah, another episode of Shampoo Effect. Got pretty drunk last night watching my Lakers. It was not very good.
Let's go, Jimmy. Jimmy Buckets. Let's
Went off for the second game of the series, and I mean, did you see him walking off the podium? It looked like he couldn't even walk. Fucking gave it his all.
Yeah, like he was trying to avoid a cramp or something, but you also could just be in severe pain. He played 47 minutes. That's crazy. How about them Rays, man? Rays up.
Dude, that was that had to be like nerve-wracking.
Oh man, me and my parents are going nuts, man. It was awesome. Now we got to take down the bum Astros.
Please, just for like all of America is rooting for the Rays.
The Tampa Bay Rays are now America's team. I love it. For the first time.
Are, dude. They need to whoop their ass. I'm tired of them seeing them being successful like right now. After all season, they just sucked ass.
They should have gotten their title stripped. That's horrible.
Oh, 100% they should have. It's bullshit that they didn't.
I think it was just that was a very deep operation. There were a lot of people involved in the whole league. It's a mess. They just give them a little slap on the wrist, so don't do it again.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, but that was 2-1. Who hit it? Who hit the home run?
Brasso. Earlier in the season, Chapman threw at his head, 1-on-1 at his head, and the bench is cleared. So really? Brasso, they don't like each other very much. So Brasso, after the game, said it wasn't revenge, but I'm sure it felt good.
Oh,
he was in the dugout staring Chapman down.
Dude, is there something about Chapman doing that? Like he comes in a tight game that's big and he
chokes.
He chokes, and he just gives up a huge fucking shot. Like I just feel like he does that so often.
He did it when he played for the Cubs in the World Series against the Indians. He did it. He's done it a couple times, but dude can throw Chad. Like I don't dislike Chapman, but
yeah. So you've had a good sporting week.
I had the Bucks, man.
Besides the Bucks, yeah, Bucks fucking blew it. Tom, get it the fuck together, dude. I understand.
Did you see the meme where when Khalil Mack was on top of Brady and it was like split screen? It was the movie The Revenant with the bear on top of Leonardo DiCaprio.
I did not see that.
that was pretty funny. You got mauled by the bears.
That's funny as shit. Yeah, bad week for me. Bucks started off with Bucks, losing like they did in the fashion they did, and then after that, obviously, last night did not go well for me. So I mean, I guess the only positive for me was watching your Rays win.
Hey,
and then I think, well, not that I think, I know, fucking Knowles are about to get beat tonight. So
if you ask Nate Gilmore's all on the hype train.
I can't believe that though. All right, guys, we'll stop talking and bring in our special guest Richie Barnes of the Double Fries No Slaw podcast, associated with Freddie Stevenson and TJ Pittinger. Great guy. Just got to know him a little bit, and we'll just go ahead and bring him on. Good morning, Richie. How you doing?
It's game day, fellas. I'm doing good. How about y'all?
I'm doing good. Go Rays.
That's right. Took down the evil empire, and now all of America will be rooting for him to take down the Astros.
Oh, yeah. America's team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm doing good this morning. You got any special drink you're drinking this morning, Richie?
Coffee.
Same.
I think we're all doing coffee.
10 years ago, it may have been a Bud Light, but I'm too old to start drinking in the morning these days.
Yeah, so if you guys got anything that you're drinking on early this morning, I might dip into some Trader Joe's wine later in the show, but
$2 chuck, huh?
Yeah, the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but we got a huge day of college football ahead of us. It looks like. I mean, that's why I wanted Richie to come on. He's a professional when it comes to these spreads, apparently. Don't you put out some
now.
don't you put out some picks and stuff for who is it? No Game Day. Every once in a while.
So this is my third year doing a gambling column for them. I forget what I am on the year. I'm definitely in the money, but I know last week I hit 4 out of 5, so pretty good week. So I'm sure this week will be just terrible for me because that's how it goes.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be a weird week for sure, I think.
Yeah, a lot of interesting lines, and what worries me is I try and pick them early in the week, and all the teams I picked, the numbers are going the other direction now. So I could have got some better value, but that's the risk you take, I guess.
Yeah, you should start waiting to do it on like Friday night.
Yeah, especially with COVID and everything. I mean, you feel like you need to this year.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that Florida A&M line's getting funny to me.
Makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
We'll find out in a couple hours.
Yeah. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into the slate of games. I sent over that list to you, right, Richie? You got it?
Yep.
Awesome. So I guess we'll look at the first game on this list. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. See if I can share my screen. There we go. And that's going to be, I think, what was it? Florida MU game. That's exactly what we were just talking about. So awesome game we got going here. I don't know what the line opened up at. I think it was 8 or something like that.
When I saw it, it was 6.5, but that was, I think, Tuesday morning. So it may have opened higher.
Wow. So yeah, it's dropped down to 5. So that's a pretty large drop in my opinion. Do you see any reason why Sharps or Public are doing that and moving it that way?
I mean, I guess Jimbo Fisher, his success against Florida, which, doesn't really mean anything today because the coaching staff's completely different than the ones he coached against. But I guess that's in there. And then Florida's defense, they need to show us something. Their offense is elite, but that defense is suspect. And, say what you want about Jimbo. He's going to have a game plan for this week. I don't know if Kellen Mond will be able to execute it the way he needs to pull the upset, but I could see this game being closer than, what I initially thought, but I still don't. That line makes no sense to you guys.
Yeah, I also think Jimbo's seat's getting a little warm, so he's going to get them boys ready to play today for his sake.
Yeah, I don't see why it's at 5. I think Florida's a better team. I know what you're talking about with their defense, but Kellen Mond hasn't done anything to impress me this season at all. He just looks very average as a quarterback, and Trask and Kyle Pitts are just unbelievable for Florida. I mean, what does Kyle Pitts have? 6 touchdowns in 3 games, or 7 touchdowns in 3 games, or something absolutely wild like that? The 5-point spread just seems super low. I know TAMU's at home, but they don't have a full stand. They don't have a full stadium or anything. It's a noon game. See if they can get up to that. So I don't know. Florida's had 3 noon games, and they're the number 4 team in the country. It's pretty hilarious.
Couldn't be us.
No, definitely not. We get all the primetime games, and we're absolutely trash.
I was joking earlier on Twitter that I'm jealous of UF fans because I kind of like noon games because you get to watch the game and then just relax the rest of the day and just take it easy. But here we are, and we all know it's coming tonight most likely, but I'm still excited, and I have to wait till 7:30 again. And same thing next week when North Carolina comes to town.
Just anxiety train.
Man, it's another night game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jeez, man, I can't keep doing this.
I know.
You got me sitting out here all day just waiting and having to listen to everybody else talk about what to expect from the game, and then the game comes, and then it's exactly what we've been talking about, and nothing changes.
The good thing, we got a great noon slate, so I'm gonna have the I love the ESPN multicast function on their app that you can use now. You can get 4 games at once, and I think most of the games I want to watch are on the ESPN network of family of networks. So that this noon action looks fun, guys. I might have to put some extra bets in after I hop off here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. It's loaded down. I mean, we'll just take a peek right here. You got Florida, Texas A&M. You got Virginia Tech, North Carolina, which I think is going to be an awesome game. Missouri, LSU. I mean, not that great of a game, but still. And then you got Red River Rivalry, Texas, Oklahoma. So we'll go ahead and talk about that next game, and that's going to be the VT North Carolina. Oh, actually, what are your guys' pick for that Florida game? I forgot to ask you.
You can go ahead, Richie.
So I took Florida at 6.5. So I'm going to stick with it. If I get them at 5 points for the purpose of this show, I'm just taking an extra 1.5 right now. So I don't know what's going on with this. Something funny might happen, but just based on what I've seen, Alabama destroys everybody, right? So it's hard to hold that against Texas A&M, but they also struggled against Vanderbilt. I think Florida's offense is too much. I see them winning by 10 to 14 maybe. So yeah, give me the Gators here.
Yeah, I was going to say that same thing. I think they covered the spread almost too easily there, but I don't know. Vegas knows something, so I'm kind of fishy about it. We'll see. Gators should cover.
Yeah, for some reason, Vegas always gets it right. It blows my mind. I mean, the other night with the Bucks game, I couldn't have. How do you predict that? And it's crazy, but 5 seems low, so I'm probably going to hammer that spread as soon as we get off today, just for the sake that I think Florida's defense might get it a little bit more together here. They're 3 games into the season now, so or this is their 3rd game actually, so they should be able to finally get some cohesiveness there and be able to communicate a little bit better. But moving on to our next game, we got Virginia Tech heading into Chapel Hill to play North Carolina. The spread's at -3, and it's been let's kind of take a look at what they've done in the past here, what their records are. So you got Virginia Tech. They've played Duke and NC State so far this year, so not 2 great teams at all. And then North Carolina's played BC, who hung around in there with them for most of the game, and Syracuse, who is not that great of a team either. So after looking at these 2 teams, guys, what are you seeing when it comes to this game?
I don't know. UNC at number 8 is very suspect to me. I think today is going to be a very good test to see if they deserve that. I think Virginia Tech's going to have a great game plan against them. I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't really know. But it's all up to Sam Howell. I'm excited to see what he can do today against at least a decent defense.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to Sam Howell, right? He looked pretty good, I think, when they opened against Syracuse. Mm-hmm. And then they really struggled against the Boston College team. And the ACC this year, man, it's Clemson. Then you have Notre Dame and Miami, who are pretty good. And then everybody else, it seems like. I think the other teams are just the other 12 teams are just going to be beating up on each other all season long. So Florida State fans should feel a little better after seeing Georgia Tech just rout Louisville last night. So that's maybe a game we can win. But for the purpose of this game, I think it comes down to quarterback play. I see, Braxton Brewmeister, the quarterback for Virginia Tech, he's completing 44% on the season. That's so bad. And I don't know. I think their defense will be solid. But I like North Carolina here. I know their fans don't really matter, but they're at home. I don't think they're the 8th best team in the country, but I do think they win and cover slightly here.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. I don't mind it. North Carolina's defense has been pretty stout to start this season. They're only allowing 14 points, like you can see on the screen. And Virginia Tech's giving up a decent amount. So they're okay at defense, but they are not doing what UNC has been doing. 8, I agree with you guys. UNC being ranked 8 is way too high in my opinion, based off of what we've seen from them this year. But then again, I mean, BC seems like a actually decent team, better than I expected for sure. So this one's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a close one. I originally started off with Virginia Tech money line. I feel a little bit safer going with them +3. I just think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, it'll go either way. It's gonna be tight. Good old ACC football, baby. Let's go.
It's a good game. Whatever you're feeling, to maybe buy a half point or an extra point on the side there, just to be safe. So that's
right.
Probably what I'm looking at doing here. Just get it up to 3.5, down to 2.5, just to be safe here.
Oh, that's smart at all. I didn't think about that. So I mean, if you are on UNC, by that half point, take it down from like -10 or -110 down to probably take it down to -115 or -120. Yeah. So, go ahead and grab that, like Richie's saying. And we can move on to our next game. Our 12 o'clock slate is absolutely stacked today.
Yeah.
What was next on the list? Texas, Oklahoma?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, Texas, Oklahoma. Boomer.
This one should be fun. All right. So
Yeah.
we've got Texas, Oklahoma, noon. Always a noon game. I wish they would make this game at night sometimes. But we've got the storyline of the veteran quarterback in Ellinger versus the young gun in Rattler here. So lines at 3. Oklahoma's favored, even though Texas has a better record and is ranked. Over under at 72.5. Much to be expected out of a Big 12 game here. So what are something you guys are paying attention to, and looking at their stats and everything, where do you see us going in terms of your picks?
For some reason, my gut's telling me Oklahoma's going to win this game and cover the spread, I think. They need a bounce back win really bad, and they have the offensive firepower to do it. They've been ahead a lot in big games, and the other team just comes back, and it's that Big 12 defense. But I think Texas, I think this is Tom Herman's last year. I think they're scrambling to try to figure something out here. But I think Lincoln Riley's going to have a good game plan, and you never know in this game. So I think Dicker the kicker might win it for him. No, he plays for Texas. Never mind. I thought it was Oklahoma. Dang it. I thought it was a good line.
This game is I'm really excited for this game, and it's kind of like Florida State Miami. Even when we're down, it's still a fun game to watch every year because you never know what's going to happen. So obviously both these teams, disappointing starts to the season that with Texas losing and Oklahoma losing 2 games already. And you start to wonder, is this the game where Oklahoma bounces back? I don't know. Rattler, he's going to be a very good college quarterback. He was an elite 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I just don't think it's his time yet. I'm going to side with the veteran quarterback here. I think Texas wins it outright, so I'm taking Texas on the money line, and it'll be interesting. But I love that. I love the over here. I mean, I'm not. You could probably take it up to 79.5. I might still take the over, so that might be a good option for a parlay if you guys are looking for that right now.
Yeah, there's not going to be one defensive stop in this game.
That's crazy. Texas is averaging 51 points at Oklahoma, almost 40. So that could go up to a 90-point game. That over under, like you're saying, Richie, is looking mighty tasty. I tend to agree with Richie here. I think the vet in Ellinger is going to outlast whatever Rattler's able to do. I know he's special. We've seen him, what he can do on the ground with his legs. When he moves out of the pocket, he can throw very accurately. But he's also thrown some picks here early on in the season that have been, very questionable and in bad timing. It's just awful timing for him to throw a pick, and it's happened in at least in their losses that they've lost. So, they went up big on Kansas State, and they just let them right back into the game, and then you throw a pick and it's over. So I like Texas money line here. I like Ellinger a lot. I think after their loss last week to TCU, he'll get back on the hill here and get this win in a huge rivalry game. It's being played at a neutral site. Marshall's throwing up the horns down. Gotta love it. But yeah, they're playing in Dallas here in Jerry's World, so gonna be a fun one to watch.
They're not playing in the Cotton Bowl?
Oh, they are playing the Cotton Bowl. Excuse me. I thought they were playing in Jerry's World.
They're playing the Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. There you go. My bad.
This is like the Georgia, Florida of the West.
Do you guys ever wish that they played that game later?
It's such a cool tradition. They've been doing it for so long. It's like the Ohio State, Michigan. They always play it in. I'd rather them not touch it.
I like it a lot. It's wild to think that they play at 11 a.m. Their time.
Right.
But, I've heard it's typically coincides with the fair, and it's especially where the Cotton Bowl was. It's not a great part of town, and it's not very safe at night, which is a big part of the reason why they do this game at noon every year.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Camping World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Be nice now. I live in Orlando here.
That's God's country.
Yeah, Camping World, man. You take a wrong turn out of that stadium, you end up in a really rough area quickly.
Yeah. All right. Well, what'd you say, Marshall?
If you turn anywhere out of that stadium.
All right, we got Marshall's favorite game of the day today at 3:30. The Tennessee Volunteers heading to Athens to play Georgia, who's favored by 12.5. We're looking at a lot of rain in this one. So we'll take a look at the spread here. 12.5. Georgia's favored. Over under at 43. It keeps dropping. It started off at like 45.5 and just continuously dropped down. So Tennessee off to a hot start. They've got the longest SEC winning streak out there. Georgia didn't look too good against, who was it they were playing? Arkansas to start the season, but they kind of pulled that one out at the end. Defense is what their defense does. I mean, just look at their stats, only allowing 8 points per game. So what are you guys looking at here when Tennessee goes there between the hedges?
First of all, Arkansas is elite, okay? Second, I think it's going to be a rainy game. I think this is right up Jeremy Pruitt's alley. I really like Tennessee covering the spread today. I even kind of want to pick them to win it. I think Georgia's on that side alert. I think Tennessee's got a good chance. It's probably not going to happen. I just want it to happen because I love Jeremy Pruitt so much. But it's going to be a rainy game, ground and pound. I think Georgia in the trenches is going to win this game, though. But Tennessee, it's going to be a good game in the trenches. That's going to be what to watch for today. Tennessee's offensive line is very old and experienced and talented. I think Tennessee covers, but I think Georgia wins.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Pruitt's done a phenomenal job, like getting both sides of the trenches, to near elite right now. They're really good. I think, this is the line. We picked 7 games on our show this week, and this was the one I had the hardest time with, and it was 13.5 at the time that we picked it. I sided with Georgia. I think Stetson Bennett, it looks like they have a quarterback there now. He can really throw the ball. And that Georgia defense is just so good. I think they might be the best defense in the country. So I don't know where Tennessee's going to get points from. I do like their defense to slow down Georgia a little bit. I picked Georgia early in the week. I definitely see where Tennessee is going in. Freddie Stevenson, our co-host, he's big on Tennessee this week. But I'm going to stick with Georgia for this one until I see otherwise. They came up big for me last week covering against Auburn. So I'm going to ride that train.
That was a big win against Auburn. I thought Auburn was going to smoke them, man.
Yeah, I did too. I hammered the money line real hard, and didn't take very long for me to be wrong in that one.
That was the first real home field advantage we've seen too. It was rocking in Athens.
Look at that value though. If you did take it, Tennessee money line right here.
Tempting.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. If you're feeling it, you take the points and then you bet the money line separately on a little smaller wager. Just to cover yourself, and if Georgia rolls, then it just wasn't meant to be at that point.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think Tennessee's gonna have those, or Pruitt's gonna have those guys fired up. 12.5. It just seems like such a trap line, in my opinion. Like it's just sitting there, and you don't know what to do with it. It's just right on the edge. So, with the game being, it's just gonna be raining the whole time in Athens. I think it's because of that storm or whatever that's coming through and just sending bands everywhere. But I don't know. I like Tennessee at cover 12.5. I think their offensive line is going to, on paper, matches up very well against Georgia's defensive line. But like you were saying, Richie, their defense is absolutely incredible. They don't allow anybody to score. So, I see Tennessee scoring, but their quarterback situation isn't the greatest. But I think I'd like them to cover 12.5. But ultimately, Georgia could come out here and, just absolutely destroy them. So, this one's really hard for me. I keep coming back and forth. I say I'm going to pick Tennessee plus 12.5. They're going to cover, but I think I'm going to end up rolling with UGA minus 12.5. I just can't decide.
It's also a really big spread when you consider the over-unders at 42. Mm-hmm. So they're basically telling us that they don't think Tennessee can score this week.
Right. And I think that's why I'm struggling with it so much, is because the over-under is so low right now that it makes it hard to take, a double-digit spread here, especially when it's going to be an ugly game that's won, in the trenches. But then again, Georgia could just run it down Tennessee's throat, and we would all be screwed.
Yeah, I'm thinking right in that 27-14, 27-13 range. So that's I'm thinking probably the under in a cover, which doesn't happen, often when it's that low. But I'm probably going to go with the under and a cover on this for Georgia.
Yeah, and I know it keeps dropping that over under, but it's just the perfect storm ultimately when it comes to playing this under. Like two SEC teams that have young, inexperienced quarterbacks, rain all day. You're going to be putting the ball on the ground a lot, so that means running clock. It's going to be one of those type of games where it's just going to move quickly, and that's how it's going to go. So I'm right there with you. I like the cover and I like the under, so it's going to be one of those days.
I wish we hired Pruitt.
God.
Another conversation. Another time.
I don't think Pruitt could handle Tallahassee for too many years, and there's too many distractions for him.
Knoxville's a fun place too.
It is.
Yeah, it's a great place, but it's not Tallahassee.
Nothing is.
I don't think his wife would have ever, if he even thought about interviewing for that job back in 2018, his wife was probably shut that down real quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's crazy, too, because Jeremy Pruitt was like their 14th choice for a head coach, and he's just worked out really, really well. So talk about, lucking into a hire, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, I love just the way he handles himself. Like They
tried to hire Greg Schiano first.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
I feel like every player that we've talked to on the Double Fries No Slaw podcast, if they've played for Jeremy Pruitt that one year he was there, they just have nothing but positive things to say about him. DeMarcus Walker, he's like, Jalen Ramsey ain't going there. I wasn't going there. Nate Andrews wasn't going there, but Pruitt is the reason they all went there. So he's got some off the field stuff. It looks like he's got it under control now. But yeah, man, Tennessee. I'm about to talk myself into picking Tennessee, but I'm going to stick with Georgia. So.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't remember where I heard DeMarcus say that, but he was saying that because I know he committed during the national championship, right?
Yeah.
So I guess Jeremy Pruitt had a lot to do with him going there, and Jalen Ramsey, because Jalen Ramsey was on his way to USC, I believe, right? And then Pruitt was like, "Nah, not gonna happen. You're coming here." So he had his hand in a bunch of that. So and now you see why he's getting all these blue chip guys, these 5 stars, to come to Tennessee and play for him. All right, next game up, we got another Big 12 game, and that is going to be with Chubba's older brother, Brock Purdy, and Iowa State taking on Texas Tech at home there in Ames. Iowa State's favored by 11.5 here. The over-under is sitting at a 64.5 for a Big 12 game. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this one? Texas Tech just lost to Kansas State, and they lost to Texas in overtime. And then Iowa State, they had that lump against the Raging Cajuns early in the year, and then beat Oklahoma and TCU, which are 2 very good teams there in the Pac-12.
I think this is going to be another good old-fashioned Big 12 shootout. But I think Iowa State pulls it out. I don't think Texas Tech's been in position to win a couple times this season, but I think Brock Purdy's got his stuff together. I think I like Iowa State. I don't know if they'll cover, though. I like Texas Tech covering.
Yeah, Texas Tech, they hung 56 on Texas in a loss. That'll hurt your feelings. And then, and then only 21 at Kansas State the very next week. So it's, which Texas Tech team are we going to get? Brock Purdy had a slow start, obviously a very disappointing opener. I like the over here. That's the easy one to me. In this spread, I have no idea which way. I haven't watched enough of either team. When we were looking for a new coach, I was a big Matt Campbell guy. I think he's a phenomenal coach. There's going to be so many points, and it's hard to say someone's going to win by double digits in what I think is going to be an absolute shootout. So I do like Iowa State to win, but I'm leaning Texas Tech here. So I'll take the Red Raiders.
Right, plus 11.5. I think that's probably the right play. They've been playing teams close. Kansas State, only a 10-point loss. But see, what I'm seeing here is that they only scored 21 points, and it's because it was on the road. So that brings into question here, what type of Texas Tech offense are we going to see here in another road game? Are we going to see the one that, hung 56 on a Texas team? That's pretty good, probably better than Iowa State. Or are we going to see the Kansas State offense when they only put up 21 points? So it's questionable. We'll see. I like the over anyways. Just, when it comes to the Big 12, that's what you got to roll with. 11.5 seems right around what it's going to be. They could lose by 14. They could lose by 10. So I've got Iowa State winning. I love Brock Purdy. That family as a whole is just fantastic. I just hope, younger brother Chuba turns out to be the same. So, it seems like Brock's got his shit under control now after that first game where he just looked absolutely horrible and everybody was talking about his draft stock falling and all of that. So I would lean the over and also plus 11.5 for Tech. But yeah, I haven't seen enough of either of those two teams other than, highlights here and there. Because I turned into the first game when Iowa State played University of Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, and I was just I was like, oh my God,
what's happening here?
Okay, baby. Good season.
That's crazy. All right, let me see what we got next here. Oh yes, here we go. We got the Woo Pig, baby, Woo Pig Suey, and Auburn.
Franks, match made in hell.
So our former offensive coordinator and offensive line coach head into Auburn here to take on the Tigers. Auburn favored by 14 points, spread at 45.5. What are you guys thinking? Auburn didn't look too good last week against UGA, but against UGA and Arkansas, has been kind of a pleasant surprise with Felipe Franks back there.
Yeah, I think Arkansas hangs tough, but I think Auburn gets a good bounce back win. I think they can figure out a way to beat these guys and cover the spread.
Yeah, I think it's almost better for Auburn that they kind of got blown out last week instead of, losing a heartbreaker, because those are the types of losses where you let one loss become two potentially with that hangover effect. It's another game, whichever side you're on, by the half point, it's worth it. Yeah, I don't know. Kendall Briles, it looks like he struggled a little bit to start the season. But yeah, Felipe Franks, he was a very highly thought of recruit coming out of high school. Things obviously didn't work out at Florida. I just don't know which way, because at Georgia, again, it's really good. It's kind of like Texas A&M, how they got blown out by Alabama. You try not to hold it against them too much. I could see how Logan.
Come on.
Hey, it's early in the season. But yeah, and I think I'm probably leaning Auburn here just because, again, I'm going to buy the half point. Even at 14, it's a push if they do that. I just think they have a bounce back game. Arkansas is not good right now. There's a reason they have a brand new head coach, brand new offense coordinator, because Chad Morris wasn't getting it done there. Kind of drove it into the ground a little bit. So I think Auburn's more established under Malzahn. So I'm going to take Auburn to cover. And I'm not touching this over under because I have no idea what's going to happen as far as points.
Yeah, just Logan, we don't want to hear it anymore. We see you on the timeline. We see your memes. We see everything. Even had to text me and had to text you back. And
Who's his team?
The Steelers of all teams. After he's been pushed into the ground by Tom Brady his whole entire life.
It's understandable why he hates the Bucs now because of Brady. You just have to get beat down by a guy for 20 straight years. It's hard to see that.
Yep. I originally looked at this and I was like, that's too high of a spread here in this Auburn Arkansas game. Auburn, after getting smacked at Georgia, bad loss for them. Bo Nix didn't look good. He's supposed to take that next leap, but he did play against probably, like you're saying, Richie, the top defense in the nation, perhaps. So, and then Arkansas slowed down the air raid. I don't think it was Arkansas who did it. I think it's, when you're learning a new system and everything, and especially the air raid, it's not going to come easy. You got a new head coach, you got a new quarterback who's still trying to figure things out in Costello. So I don't think that was anything to do with Arkansas's defense being able to shut it down. More of, the air raid offense having to take its lumps before it actually gets going. And when you have that, you're going to have, games like you did against when they opened up against LSU. And they absolutely just put it on LSU. But then you're going to have your down games like they did against Arkansas. So I love Kendall Browse. I think he's a great offensive, mind. But I think Auburn and, Gus are going to have the boys ready to go in this one, 4:00 game. 14 points seems like a good one. Buy it down a half point, like Richie's saying, at 13.5. So you get that cover if they win by 2 touchdowns. So I like it. I would stay away from money line anywhere in this game.
Depends on what Felipe Franks we get to, but you can get both of them in one game. So have a 80-yard drive and throw 3 pick sixes in a row. So
what game was it when he played for Florida where he was like talking shit in the camera? Like,
I think it's Miami.
And then I think it was. And then he comes around the next drive and throws a pick like right to the linebacker.
Well, he would talk shit to like the UF student section when he'd make a good play. Like, he needed to get out of Gainesville because obviously it was not going to work out. But I still think he has some talent.
Definitely does. I mean, he'll probably go like undrafted or late round draft pick or something like that, just because based off of his high school film was great. He was highly recruited. Played at Florida and then still stays in the SEC even once he transfers. So that alone is probably going to pique some interest in scouts and things. But I just will never buy into Felipe Franks being good.
Yeah, I was at that 2017 Jimbo's last game against UF at Florida State, and we were like 8 rows up behind UF's bench on the 50, lucked into some good seats. And by halftime, people were cursing Felipe's name, like, get this guy out of here. Like, they could not stand him. So
it must have been sitting right next to you.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious to watch. It was fun.
Sounds like me last night talking about Danny Green, how I want him off my team.
Oh, dude, you can't get a more open shot.
It's a shot you take in practice.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the side. LeBron needs to take that shot regardless. I know you got a wide open guy there, but you're trying to, you got the championship on the line. You got to make something happen. You're the best player in the league, or a lot of people think that and he's done that through his whole career. Like, he defers far too often, and that's my only knock on him right now. But yeah, Danny Green, you got to make that. You're wide open.
You can't miss that, especially when you're known to do that. You can't miss it. But yeah, I agree.
Everyone was on the baseline. He's by himself at the top, and he couldn't make it.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. LeBron's got to take that shot. I mean, it's game 5. You got to put it away, especially when Jimmy Butler's doing whatever he does. But enough basketball talk. Let's move into our next game here. We got Pitt taking on BC. I think this might be one of the better games of the day, even between 2 non-ranked teams. Pitt favored by 6.5 here. Really tough line, over under at 43. And we'll go ahead and take a peek at what they have done in the past. NC State just beat Pitt, I think, on the last second touchdown, I believe, by 1 point. Syracuse and Louisville, which their schedule hasn't been too difficult. Louisville, obviously, last night got, their asses handed to them by Jeff Sims and company at Georgia Tech. And looking at BC, they have stuck with everybody. I mean, they beat Duke, but that's, trash of the ACC, down where we kind of are. In Texas State, which they only won by 3. And then they hung in there with UNC and Sam Howell. So looking at this game, guys, what do you expect?
I don't know. This is one of those ACC games where, anything can happen. You get below the better teams in the ACC, and it's just a mosh pit. I think Boston College can win today if they can play like they did last week. But I think Pitt wins, but I don't know if they cover the spread. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's like you said, the ACC, it's kind of a coin flip every game that doesn't involve, Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame at this point, because the last place team and the 4th place team that it's probably like a touchdown spread on a neutral field. I don't know. I think 6.5 is too many points in a ACC game with those bottom 12 teams that I've mentioned. So I think it'll be close. I think Pitt does win, but I don't know if they can win by a touchdown. So I'll probably ride Boston College here to cover, but I do think Pitt wins this game.
Yeah, I think much along the same lines as you guys do. Pitt will probably win, but look at BC. I mean, they covered last week against UNC, who, in my opinion, is much better than Pitt. But like you're saying, it's interesting in the ACC this year. It feels like anybody could win, probably. So, but I mean, they've surprised us. UNC has a good defense, and BC put up 22 on them. BC's defense is good too, Joe. So, and it's really shocking to see what BC has done, in my opinion, so far this season, especially bringing in a new head coach and everything. And you usually, have at least one down season or, something like that. And they're having a pretty decent season up to this point. So I like them to cover plus 6.5 here. Last week I said Pitt would probably win their game versus NC, or it was their Louisville game that they would win by a field goal, that I said they would kick a field goal late and win. And that's exactly what happened. I expect something very similar in this one on the road. They came off a tough loss last week to NC State. I think they're going to be a little bit more riled up for this one. So, but BC again is, a tough, grinded out team, and I think they cover the 6.5. Unanimous. Straight down the line. All right, let's look at what we got next.
I've been waiting for this one.
Oh, is that where we're at?
Miami Clemson.
Oh, man. So, boys.
How good is Miami?
Is the U back?
I mean, this is the type of game Miami, not the past couple years, but in pretty recent times, they look good to get in the top 10, and then they would get destroyed by either us or Clemson and then lose most of the rest of their games. And that's a hump that they're going to have to get over if they want to establish themselves again in college football. Today's a great opportunity for them. It's good that Death Valley's not going to be full, because it would be absolutely rocking tonight if it was. And I think Miami, they got to play a perfect game. I think Derek Keen's going to come out, and he's going to use his legs a lot tonight. He's going to have to. I think Miami hangs tough for the first 3 quarters, but I just think Clemson's going to pull away, and I think they'll cover the spread in the fourth.
Yeah, for me, Clemson's the most balanced and efficient team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You look at their SP Plus ratings from Bo Conley, and they have the number 3 offense, the number 4 defense, and 7th best special teams. I mean, that's got championship written all over it. I just can't buy into the Miami hype, because we see this every single year, right? Even 2013, they came into Doak undefeated. Everybody knew we were going to blow them out, and we did. The one big game they've won in recent history, I think it was 2018. They beat Notre Dame down in Hard Rock when they were an underdog, and they beat them pretty handily. But then they go on to lose the next 3 games of the season, against Pitt, Duke, and Wisconsin in the Orange Bowl. I'm not a believer in the Miami hype. I know what they did to Florida State. They could have been much worse against Florida State. I fully understand that. Clemson is not Florida State. I don't think Miami's really been tested by anybody. This week it's going to be, I think it's going to be eye-opening. I think Derek King's going to really struggle, because Clemson's going to get after him. I just don't think Miami scores a lot of points this week compared to, they're averaging 43 a game. I think Clemson wins this game by – I'd take Clemson at probably 19.5 and maybe not feel great about it, but I do see a 20-plus point win for Clemson. Dabo, say what you want about him. He's an excellent guy. He's an excellent motivator for his team, and he's going to have them ready. He told his team all week during practice how they have a top 10 team coming, and everyone's picking Miami to beat you guys. He loves playing the underdog when he's not an underdog at all. But I do think he's going to have his team ready. His players love him. His players love playing for him. And I think, it's going to be a great night for Florida State fans. This will be going on at the same time as our game. So, who knows? in a perfect world, obviously Florida State wins, Miami loses, and I'll be unbearable the next few weeks. So I think Clemson's just too much. They're in another league. It's Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, and it's everybody else at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Clemson doesn't get these days in the ACC doesn't get many top 10 matchups within the ACC. So those players are excited. They're ready to get after it tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm much like you guys. When I first looked at this and I was thinking, just based off of what Miami has done in terms of just looking with the eye test and not, going back and actually looking at other things, I wanted to take them money line just because there's got to be some time where Clemson just, falters and just doesn't show up. But again, I don't think Miami's back to where they need to be or want to be. I get they've got an all-star caliber quarterback in De'Aaron King, but you need more than just that. And I mean, they smoked us 52-10. That's an outlier in my opinion. Head coach wasn't there. James Blackman was still our starting quarterback. We didn't see anybody else come in the game until like Tate did late in the game. So, to me, that's an outlier game. It doesn't matter. You only beat Louisville, who was supposed to be head knockers this season, above what they're like, heads above where they were last season, because they've been building and they just haven't looked even good at all after last night. And you only beat them by 13 points. And then UAB, you were tied with them at halftime. So, you haven't really played anybody. And I think that's where it's going to come to play. I know Clemson hasn't played anybody either, but it's Clemson. So, like Richie was saying, they're top 5 in every statistical category. Just outside the top 5 in special teams. But I think Venables is going to have a great game plan for De'Aaron King, and they're going to get after him and probably put him on his ass a few times throughout the night. I think Clemson easily covers the 15-point spread.
Well, Brent Venables, please go take a head coaching job somewhere. I am sick of that guy just kicking our ass every single year.
Get out of here, man. Jeez.
What is it? Like, does he just not want to leave? Because I know there's people who have inquired about him for interviews, and he won't even go and interview places.
I think he's just happy being there. I think his son is still on the team as a walk-on right now. So maybe when his son leaves, he'll take his job. But he's getting paid, over $2 million a year to be a coordinator. I wouldn't be on a team that he knows he's going to the playoff every year. So it's a nice situation to be in.
Yeah, he's in a comfort zone right now.
It's almost like being the backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Alex Moran vibes.
All right.
Yeah. We all have Clemson covering there. Marshall's got a little bit closer than Richie and I do, but I think it's just going to be ugly especially maybe if the game was in Miami, it would be a little bit different, but with it being in Clemson, it's just not going to happen.
I think it's for them to beat Clemson, it's the same thing for us to beat Notre Dame. You need something positive to happen early, like a blocked punt, a turnover, jump on them 7-0 and put some game pressure on them and see how they react. That's the only chance Miami has. If they bring out that turnover chain, I hate turnover props, and the turnover chains wore out. But those players love that thing, and like I said, college football, I think momentum plays a much bigger role than it does in the pros, because these guys they're not as mature. They're very emotionally unstable, 18, 22-year-old kids. But yeah, if Miami can get a quick turnover or something, that's their only hope. But I don't see it happening. Trevor Lawrence is going to protect the ball, and they're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, T-Law is threading the needle this season.
Yeah, he would probably start for half the teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Just go, right?
He's going to look good in a Falcons uniform for sure.
Thinking of Trevor, right?
Yeah.
Why you guys keep giving up these fourth quarter leads?
Yeah.
We have so many friends that are Falcons fans or from the area and stuff, and it's a depressing Sunday almost every weekend for them.
It's pretty funny to me. It's hilarious. They were talking so much shit a couple years ago. Now they can't even buy a win.
All right, let's move on. We're heading towards Saban and the Lane train here. We've got Alabama heading into Ole Miss. Line's at 23. What do you guys think about Kiffin taking on his former head coach?
Saban hasn't lost to any of his coaches that coach underneath him yet. I don't think it's going to happen anywhere close tonight. I think Alabama covers the spread pretty easily. I think it's going to get kind of ugly.
Yeah, and Saban, he's kind of petty, right? Him and Lane, they didn't really end on the greatest of terms when Lane was in Alabama. It was kind of nasty the way that thing finished out. I think Saban, like you said, Saban doesn't lose to his assistants. He just doesn't. Kirby got the closest in that national championship game, but then we all know what happened there. 23 points. That seems really, really low to me. I'd take Alabama at 30.5 probably. I think they're going to smother that Ole Miss defense. So, listen, Ole Miss, they'll move the ball a little bit and they'll score some points, but Alabama's just going to. I mean, they have 5-star talent all over the field. They pick who they want in recruiting. They're just Ole Miss is outmanned in this one. I see Alabama by 30 or more, so I'll take the 23 points.
Mm-hmm. That's easy money.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the more easy ones to pick here. Alabama minus 20. I mean, it's dropped to 22.5 or minus 23, but like you're saying, Richie, I'd take them even higher. I think Najee Harris finally gets it going here to an Ole Miss team that, allows over 150 yards rushing a game. So I think he finally gets it, up and starting. He isn't, broken out like we wanted him to yet this season, but Mac Jones looks legit. Looks like he's, that typical Alabama quarterback. I mean, before obviously Jalen Hurts and Tua, he's just that guy back there who does what he needs to do. Alabama's just, it's talent-wise, it's just a huge disparity when it comes to that with Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to put up points. We know that's going to happen, but also they allow 46 points a game. We saw what Florida was able to do to them, and Florida's not Alabama, but they're a good team. So I just think, Alabama smoked A&M last week. I expect probably worse this week. It's just going to be one of those games. I mean, Ole Miss barely beat Kentucky, so at Kentucky on the road, they got smoked by Florida. So I just see Alabama being the much better team in this one, and it's a very easy cover for them.
Unless Lane Train's got something up his sleeve, man. You never know.
Joey Freshwater, we'll see.
Go to those.
Go to those. That's what we got next.
Is that to close it out?
Let's close it out.
All right, to the top.
I'll let y'all go first on this one.
Boy, I guess I'll start us off. We're 21-point dogs on the road. Look at this matchup predictor.
There's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Look at that money line. Good Lord. I don't even think
that's worth $10-15 right there.
Yeah, you never know.
If you can get it on your book, my book doesn't even have the money line on it. So
hey, I'm looking at that Duke game. That gives me a little glimmer of hope.
Yeah. I don't know. We've got an identity now. That's kind of what we talked about on the podcast 2 days ago. Me and Marshall did. We have an identity: run, and then pass. So ultimately, if we can stick to that, and if Jordan Travis can be successful in running the ball, I think it's going to come down to what he is able to do at the quarterback position for us to cover. I don't think we win. I think it could be close. I mean, Duke only lost to them by 13 in Notre Dame, albeit it was the first game of the season. So whether that's the case or not, Duke is either a little bit worse or a little bit better than us, in my opinion. But Notre Dame's defense is legit. They've only allowed 6.5 points per game, which is incredible. Only 282 yards allowed per game. I mean, taking a look, it's USF, but that is what it is. But their defense only are limited. What's his name? Chase Bryce to 13 points, but he had a rushing touchdown. Chase Bryce did in that game. So that kind of brings a little bit of me that Notre Dame, it can be susceptible to a running game, especially by a quarterback. So we'll see if that's the case or not. I ultimately, good Lord, I think I don't want to be a homer and say we cover here. But I also think we cover. So I would take us plus 21.5 by that extra half point here. I think it could be, a game where it's like, I don't even know, probably like 34-21 or something like that. And it's just, we score, but we can't stop them from scoring. Defense has been sus all year. We'll see if they can get it together. We say this every week, and the line figure their shit out, and they still can't figure their shit out. So you guys let me know what you think.
Yeah. If we're going to have any kind of success against this defense, I mean, Notre Dame is a very deep team. You don't see any players from Notre Dame hitting the transfer portal. Like, these kids are there to get a degree from Notre Dame, and they're very deep and experienced. They always are. They always will be. We're going to have to get a push on the offensive line if we want any success tonight. We have to establish some type of running game. Our offensive line has impressed me this season, but tonight's a different animal. I think Notre Dame's going to dial up some pretty exotic blitzes too. Their linebackers are really good, and I love the offense that Notre Dame runs. They utilize a fullback. They run a lot of down blocking plays that you don't see too often anymore. It's hard to cover if you're not ready for it. I think Notre Dame rolls us over. I think the spread is going to be determined on whether Brian Kelly calls the dogs off or not. Which I think Brian Kelly's – I think he might. But I think Notre Dame actually might cover the spread. I think we'll find some success on a couple drives, score some points, but I think Notre Dame's going to roll us over pretty good today.
Yeah, I think – you could not ask for a better time to catch Notre Dame. They haven't played in 21 days. They've had 39 players either in isolation or quarantine. It's believed that Ian Book was one of those players, missed some practice. So how do you even run a practice when you have 39 guys out, that can't participate? So I think they're going to be really rusty. So it's the perfect time to catch them. Unfortunately, our defensive line, to me, has been the most disappointing part of this 2020 football team. We thought they'd be, at worst case, the top 15 defense line in the country, and they don't look to be a top 50 right now. And I got bad news because Notre Dame probably has the best offensive line in the country. Mm-hmm. They start 4 seniors and a redshirt junior. They all have, a season or more worth of starts under their belt, and they want to run the ball. That's what they have 3 very capable running backs. So I don't know where Florida State finds success. I know early in the games against Duke and USF, Notre Dame gave up some big plays that they were able to run someone down. Against USF, they gave up a 55-yard pass that should have been a touchdown. If that's a Tamarian Terry, that is a touchdown. Against Duke, they had a 42-yard run that, again, they had to run him down. But you think if that's a Toafili or a LaDamian Webb, that's probably to the house. So I think Florida State's best bet, like we said about Miami, is to score early. They've looked really good on those scripted plays. Even against Miami, they drove right down the field on that first drive on those scripted plays. So I do think, both teams want to run the ball here. So I like the under. My official prediction was 34-14. Notre Dame wins. And so I have Florida State covering, but just barely. I don't feel great about it. I just think, Notre Dame's going to be rusty. And, you mentioned Brian Kelly calling the dogs off. It's their first game in 21 days. I think if he's up by 10-14, he's content just running the ball, shortening this game. And that's probably what Mike Norvell wants to do early on as well. If Jordan Travis, we start seeing him throw the ball more than, 20, 21 times, that's really bad news for us because we want to be able to move the ball. I think Notre Dame wins, but Florida State covers.
Yeah, Notre Dame plays a lot of man-on-man with one high safety. So Norvell's going to look for matchups today. We're going to be looking to get Tamarian Terry on an island with someone. We might be able to strike some big plays. Maybe get someone out of the backfield lined up with one of their linebackers one-on-one. So, but, Notre Dame's looking for that too. I was watching some film on their offense, and against Duke, like 3 seconds after the ball snap, Notre Dame's offensive line has Duke's defensive line 5 yards downfield. It's insane how strong they are, how well they work as a unit. I mean, the offense they run, and how good they run it, it's very impressive. And we're going to have some trouble. We're going to have to plug it up somehow.
Yeah, I wonder if this whole COVID situation with Notre Dame, I can't believe they missed that many days, Richie. I didn't realize it was to that level at all. So that is going to instill some rust, in my opinion. You can't like play 2 games and then have that many days off between, and then expect to come out and play the same way you did beforehand. And then you don't know like who was sick, who got COVID, how it affected them. If it's still affecting some guys, because I know at the beginning of the week or something, they were still having guys test positive or something like that. So if guys are going to be out, who's it going to be? A lot of question marks surrounding Notre Dame. I know there's talk everywhere, message boards, Twitter, and everything. Like, some people don't feel good about this game when it comes to Notre Dame. So, I mean, it could be upset alert. It could not be. There's a lot going on with it. So, but yeah, I'm not saying they're going to upset them. I don't believe that personally. But
we do know 2 of the guys out. I forget their names, but they're starting linebacker and a starting defensive tackle. And I know they're a little thin at defensive tackle, so that's maybe a sign we can get the running game going again. With Jordan Travis, it opens up a whole new opportunity for this offense to move the ball, because you get an extra blocker. You have a true threat of someone who can run the ball. I love the way he ran his RPOs last week, where the one play where he keeps it, goes to take off, and then finds Helton on the sideline there on the screen for like 12 yards. Like that's tough to defend. I don't care how good you are. And Notre Dame, they're obviously much better than Jacksonville State. They have a very good defense. Notre Dame doesn't really have a weakness on the entire team. That's another part of it. That's why I think that they do still win fairly big, but not cover. I just think, again, 21 days off, and they have not been able to run a practice with their full team. Their starting quarterback has missed time. There's just too much going on for me to think they come out and shred us. And if they do, I mean, that's on you, Mike Norvell and Adam Fuller. Because if this looks anything like it did in 2018, that's at that point, that's coaching, and players need to have some pride and go out there and play like they actually, they love saying they're a football player at Florida State, but do they love playing football at Florida State? There's a difference. So we'll see what happens there.
I really hope we don't see our defense playing 6 yards back on 3rd and short. That'd be nice.
It'd be nice if Marvin Wilson showed up for a change. He said he wanted to come back and improve his draft stock, and then we all saw him get blown off the ball by Brevin Jordan, who's much lighter than he is. He had him 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, turned around. We can't have that, man. You're supposed to be, you want to be a first-round defensive tackle. You look like an undrafted free agent right now. So get it together. Kando looked good last week. It's Jacksonville State, obviously, but it's good to see him healthy, because if we can rattle Ian Book early, he's an experienced quarterback. But I don't think he's a great quarterback by any means. He does a lot of things well, but he doesn't do anything at an elite level. And if you can rattle him early, I mean, that's, obviously we're in fantasy land here, but if we're talking keys to an upset, get to Ian Book early, and obviously you're going to need some turnovers or something on your side. I do think there's a path for an upset. I just don't trust the defense enough to be able to hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah. Ian Book is very smart with his checkdowns and short passes, but if he pushes downfield, his accuracy plummets. He's not an accurate quarterback. So
I ultimately think, like you're saying, in terms of buying into the upset possibility, it's going to be reliant on the defensive side of the ball when creating turnovers, and then also on special teams. We've been talking about special teams. Travis Jay, I don't remember what game it was. It looked like he could have broken for 3 touchdowns on kickoffs. So if we can get that going, and we can get, we saw 2 blocks against Miami with field goals, or was it Miami? Who was it that we?
Georgia Tech.
Was it Miami? Georgia Tech. We had 2 blocks.
3 blocks, yeah.
3 blocks on the defensive side of the ball when it came to special teams. So, get one of those, pick the ball up and run it like Georgia Tech did us, in 2014 when they blocked our kick and ran it back, like something like that. Just, we need a break. Nothing has broken our way in terms of, anything ultimately. Like when we do get a pick or a ball's thrown right to a guy, they drop it. Like Leonard Warner, I think, who had the ball thrown right to him, hit him right in the hands, drops it, and then smile immediately. It's like, pissed at yourself for not catching the damn ball. Like, could you imagine it? You're probably housing that when it's thrown right to you in the flat like that. You have nobody else in front of you. So it's little things like that. If we can have it, Mike always preaches attention to detail, right? So they always talk about it. I mean, Jordan Travis just spoke about it on Packer and Durham this week. He's like, we're just focusing on little things from 6 inches to 2 inches. He's like, we're just trying to get better every day. And that's what you got to do. You got to be able to focus in and not play uptight. And Jordan Travis mentioned that in Packer and Durham too. He's like, I just feel like our team just played so uptight. And then like when I got in the game, I just let it loose and people just started, playing like themselves and not overthinking everything. If we can do that, I think there's a possibility. Of course, with you got to have the turnovers and you got to have the big play or something like that. Like if Asante Samuel can get one in his hands, that's great. They love him. The team loves Asante Samuel. He just energizes them on defense a whole bunch. So it's going to take a lot for that to happen. But I mean, it's in the realm of possibility. Like I said, there's a chance, 5%.
The potential.
Upsets like this happen every week in college football, right? It just doesn't happen for Florida State. So again,
right.
Looking for a glimmer of hope, we're due. Because when's the last time we won a game we weren't really supposed to? That no one really gave us any chance at all. And obviously, being Florida State fans, there's not been a whole lot of games as far as sample size in our history because we're not often 20-point underdogs. But when we are, we lose. You think Florida the past few years, Clemson, Miami. I mean, I guess not a lot of people picked us to beat Michigan, but we were only 7.5-point dogs in that game, so it's not like it was a huge upset. So
Right.
It's again, maybe we're due for one of these because they happen every week in college football, and maybe it's us this week. And I don't think it happens, but I do think there's a path to it. We'll see how the defense looks because when Jordan Travis came in and they started moving the ball, the defense looks better. The only problem, I don't know if was because they have confidence in the offense now to, move the ball and they know they're not going to be right back out there after 3 plays. But it was Jacksonville State's first game. Florida State's a lot deeper than them, so maybe they just got gassed. So I think we're gonna learn a lot about the team tonight, no matter what happens.
That's a good measuring stick for sure.
Yeah, it definitely will. And like you're saying, it was Jacksonville State. They're an FCS team, and you still spotted them 21 points in the first. Or the first half. And you can't, like, if you did that against the FCS team and now you're about to play like a big boy top 5 team in the nation in Notre Dame, this is really going to tell you a lot about our team and see if they can rebound from adversity. I know Norvell talks about all the time, how do we respond to adversity? And we're going to see some guys, I know in the Miami game, they didn't respond at all. I mean, you got Terry choking somebody, you got Marvin making a little boneheaded play, just playing a little lazy there. You got just stupid offensive line penalties. You got just, back to.
Can we get Bavian Johnson off the field? Like 3 false starts against Miami and hits his 4th year in the program. And you have true freshmen looking better than him.
And wasn't he a 5-star?
I think it was a high 4-star. I think it was like top 100 recruit. Yeah.
I think he was like the top rated center in Florida or something like that.
I think he was the number 1 center in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we move him to guard, correct? Isn't that where we moved him? And then you try and watch him pull. You try and watch him pull, and it's like, dude, like you can't even pull. Like it's just Atkins is doing what he can do with that offensive line.
Atkins is doing a phenomenal job. I think that the offensive line has outperformed the defensive line this year, and nobody would have thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, we're top 40 in the country. I was praying for top 100.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's in it. Again, it's Atkins, and then Jordan Travis is going to make him look a lot better because that, again, you get that extra blocker. So the only thing that worries me about Travis is that some of these hits he takes, if Travis goes down and Chuba can't play, we're not going to be able to move the ball at all on this team. Because I don't believe in Blackman or Tate because they're going to have 1.5, 2 seconds to throw. They can't make the reads. So we need Travis to stay healthy and we need Purdy to be available. And if Purdy's available, I think we might see him today in a little, maybe a sub package or something. So that's what I'm hoping for at least.
Yeah, I would. Travis, when he was lowering his shoulder against Jacksonville State, I want to cringe every single time. But I mean, I love that at the same time. Like if you are that willing to put your body on the line to get an extra 2 yards, that's the type of play we need. Like he obviously cares enough to be able to do that to try and will him to a victory. Not only that, but Marshall was talking about on our podcast earlier this week about how there was the one pitch play that Tua Philly scored a touchdown on, where Jordan Travis pitched it and then immediately took off and got ahead of Tua Philly to get a block to help him score. Like, that's the type of effort that Mike Norvell wants and expects out of this team. And when your quarterback's doing it, you got to expect others around them to be able to feed off of that. And I think that's what Travis is trying to do. And he's a very humble guy. He's very straight-faced. I know whenever you watch interviews with Travis, he doesn't smile a whole lot. I mean, he does crack one every once in a while, but it's not when James Blackman would get up there on the stands and ask a question and then like chuckles after everything and like smiles and, goes about his day. So it's a different type of demeanor back there now. So maybe he comes into this game, just, silent. Like, I don't get to, like, James would come in this game, like slapping hands, like jumping around, like slapping helmets and, hey, boys, we got this, like running up and down the sidelines, whatever. Jordan, in my opinion, is going to come in this game just locked in. I mean, I hope he does. Like, don't speak to anybody so everybody knows what type of level you're on, and we're going to match that. And hopefully that's the case. But that does worry me in case if he does get injured, because Tate's obviously not ready, and James Blackman has just run his time of playing football. So
overstayed is welcome.
It sounds cliche, but Travis is just a football player, right? He just goes out there and gets the job done. And you mentioned that block onto a Philly, and then later in the game, I thought Tamari Terry had his best game of the season, and a lot of it was blocking. He did a great job blocking on the edge there. And then you see LaDamian Webb on a run later in the game. It blocks like 3 different guys and then just decleats someone on the sideline. It's that type of stuff is contagious. And I do think, this team, they all like James Blackman, but they don't believe in him. And I think they might believe in Jordan Travis now. We talked to his brother, Devin Travis, earlier this week, and he said, Jordan, he looked the exact same after the Jacksonville State game to me as he did after the Miami game. He's just all business. I mean, yeah, he's grinning ear to ear during the game, like on the field, because again, you could tell he just loves playing football. But I do think he has a calm presence. Like you said, very humble. It seems like a man of faith, which I really like. And, he's just going to be, he's not going to be our starter for the next 2 or 3 years, most likely.
Right.
But he's what we need right now. And he definitely gives us the best chance to win, because every game when he comes in, the offense moves. Even against Miami, he was moving the ball a little bit, then he got hurt. Again, we talk about Jacksonville State. Well, we were down 14-0 and not moving the ball at all before he came in. Then he comes in and we get 5 straight touchdown drives over 60 yards. He does change things. So you don't know what the intangibles are and how much they've come into effect. But I do think the offense believes in him more than they do any other quarterback right now.
Yeah, he's a leader. That type of effort is, like you said, very contagious. When he's throwing those blocks and everything, the team, just the whole demeanor on the entire team changed. When you have someone you can believe in, say, okay, let's go win this thing. That's a very big factor that a lot of people don't talk about. I think, yeah, he has it. I think he's going to do his best to put us in a position to make it a game. But we'll see if we can handle it.
And that's all I want, really. I want to, be 5 minutes left in the third quarter. It's still thinking we have a chance, even if it's 21-10 or something. I'll take that, or 31-20 heading into the fourth quarter, where it's 2-score game, or why not just go to the middle of the third quarter, have a tie ball game, and see what happens. Again, this team has not rose to the occasion in a game like this in a while. Clemson, they get upset every year by someone, whether it's, Pitt took them down in Clemson, Syracuse beat them in the Dome one year. Alabama loses as a 20-plus point favorites, it seems like, once a year. So again, it can happen. I just can't pick it to be our team until I see it for once.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking. I just like you both said, you just want to see improvement here. We want to see, it just be within those 21 points ultimately. Like, not just for money. I don't want to emotionally handicap myself, or or just emotionally, fade myself because I got to make money or anything. But that's what I've been doing. I've been fading and taking everybody's spread since the first game, because even if we lose, I can at least be like happy with a little bit of money in my pocket. So,
I think everyone's on Notre Dame. Let me double check and see what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, the easy bet when Florida State is, when they're a big dog, is to pick against them, right? 'Cause that seems to be what happens. And with this team, that's what worries me. If they do get down, 10-0 in the first, 5 minutes of the game, typically they just throw their hands up, say, "Oh well, here we go again," and they're just running through the motions. Keep fighting. There's no shame in losing to Notre Dame. They are a much better team. They have better personnel than we do. But go out and compete for a change, because you have not competed against a quality team, since Alabama in 2017 probably.
Mm-hmm. God. Yeah, I was in South Bend last time we played. It was so cold, but yeah, it's like we came out just flat, and not even thinking we could give it a chance. And Francois throws a pick on the first drive, and we just sat back for the ride. Just got demolished. Right.
Yeah, well, that play you knew it was over, right?
Yeah.
I was up there too. It was freezing. I'm just chugging hot chocolates throughout the whole game. But yeah, no, in that game, it was also one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. Florida State's first play from scrimmage, they have 5 guys in the box because they knew that's all they needed. Then they have 6 guys in coverage, and it worked.
Yeah,
that just shows that's questioning someone's manhood at that point, saying we don't need these extra guys. I don't think that'll be the case this week because again, Jordan Travis can run the ball, so they're going to have to account for him. But yeah, it looks like right now 68% of all the tickets are on Notre Dame. I don't see where the money's at, but the tickets are definitely on Notre Dame right now.
That's it? Yeah, I thought it would be higher, like 77% or something like that. That's interesting. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe that's the game coming back.
I think it's all the 3-week layoff with COVID. Nobody knows what to expect from Notre Dame. So I think it's more about that. If this was the week after Jacksonville State, if Notre Dame had played last week and looked good, 1, that spread might be a little higher, and 2, I'd probably feel more comfortable taking them. So I'm baking a lot on, again, 39 players have missed time in the past few weeks of practice, and that's got to have some impact.
It's got to be all Florida State fans, dude. I can't tell you how much money Vegas has made strictly on this team. It's just, oh man, this has been bad. We love our team, and like we don't care if we're down or not. We still think we have a chance no matter what. Like it's a different type of fan base we have. I love it. At the same time, I don't love it because it just gets so heated between fans at times, and it gets ugly, especially when we are sucking. But I love it. I love that we still care that much, that we have to go to that level to like explain things to each other and everything, and like even to the media, like we don't back down, and it's just one of those things. But
I'm probably come 6:30 after I've had a few drinks. I'm going to convince myself we have more of a chance. I'm probably going to put like a $20 bet on the money line just because I love throwing money away. And then when the game gets going, I'm going to be like, all right, we can do this. We can win this game, even though my head, I know it's extremely unlikely. But every single game, even Miami, I was convinced we were going to win that game. So I'm probably going to convince myself that we have a better chance than we do by the time the game kicks off. And I'm going to drive my wife nuts because I'm not fun to watch a Florida State game with if it goes south. We'll see what happens.
10 minutes before kickoff from Miami, I text Caleb and all of our friends in our group chat. I was like, "We're winning. We're going to win."
I was going to say that. I was literally going to bring that up. It's like in our group chat every day, like every game day, it's like it starts off like there's no chance, and then gradually as the day progresses, it's just like, yep, we're gonna win this thing. We're gonna win
this. You got a chance. Like I'm gonna run through all these scenarios. I'm like, I'm a big country's gonna get a strip sack on Ian Book to open the game, and so Philly's gonna bust off an 80-yard touchdown. And
the Miami game, it was Amari Gainer's just gonna shadow King the whole game, where he's gonna lock him down.
But I am interested to see what the defensive scheme looks like because clearly it's. And I was listening, I forget which one, breaking down the scheme, and they were saying, the players kind of have the option because they're still installing it, what kind of cushion they want to give. They could come up with more if they want to, but if they feel more comfortable playing off, they're kind of getting that option. But maybe take that option away. Maybe don't press cover him, but maybe be 5 yards off the ball and not 9 yards off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a cause for concern. People that already want Fuller's head on a stick. just based off everything. But yeah, people have to remember that like these guys didn't have the time to instill what they wanted to or get the players in the positions that they want them to get them to feel comfortable. Only guy that looks comfortable ultimately, or there's a few. Samuel looks comfortable. Gaynor looks comfortable in his position, and that's probably about it. Like there's two guys that look like they're comfortable where they are playing, and that look like they get and understand fully what is happening. And that's just causing concerns. Right? Your defensive line, who's supposed to be the anchor of that group, is the worst out of those position groups right now, and that's just awful to see, especially from guys like, especially Marvin Wilson. You come back and then you shit the bed, and Durden, you have all this talk. You spend too much time doing extracurricular stuff and saying and subtweeting and all up in your own emotions and shit. And then, I mean, it's bad when Cooper is leading that unit, and like he didn't even play last game, I don't think. But like, I mean, it's not bad when he's doing that because Cooper's a solid player, but that's the thing. He's not a Marvin Wilson, and Durden had a hell of a year last year, and now look, he hasn't done anything to like back it up, and it's just very sad to see. Not to mention Norris Robinson, absolutely just slow, can't do anything off the edge.
He's been a disappointment.
It's been rough. I mean, he had a decent year last year, and that was when Kendo went down, and you were expecting him to, have that same effect this year, and especially with Kendo back, you don't have everybody paying attention to you anymore, and you just flop, and it's just been a real big disappointment on that end.
Yeah, this Notre Dame offense is very heavy on play action. They're a run first team, so if we can somehow. If this defensive line can step up today and slow down the run and get you in book into third and long, deep throw scenarios, I mean, that's wishful thinking. If they can play up to their potential today, that would make me feel a lot better about us covering the spread and maybe giving us a better chance. But yeah, we need to see it. Big Country's been outplaying them, man. Can't have that.
You saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like him, and I think he'll be a nice player for us.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be getting playing time as a true freshman right now. He should not be outperforming these guys, but here he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the linebackers, I mean, they're going to be key. Like Marshall said, that Notre Dame wants to run the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if their game plan, they want to come out and run for 300 yards and throw for maybe 150, 200. They're not looking to, air it out, but they will move. So in the first two games, they've moved pretty quickly on offense. So I'll be interested to see if they keep that tempo. They've been snapping the ball with 24, 25 seconds on the play clock, and running that power run offense. So we need the linebackers to step up, get 35 off the field. I do not want to see him out there run with Dixon Lundy. I know they're going to make mistakes, but your older guys are making mistakes too. So at least the freshmen who are going to play with that reckless abandonment, like Steven Dix has bad intentions, man. He wants to hurt somebody when he's on the field.
I
We
love
need more guys like that. And if he makes mistakes, I'll live with him making mistakes. I'm not going to live with Leonard Warner making mistakes anymore. Like, get him off the field. He's a ruined player. He's the James Blackman of the defense, as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Hot take. That's true.
That's not hot at all. I'm right there with Richie. You can't fill a hole to save your life. When you do fill a hole, you fill it softly to where you still just like slowly wrap the guy up. You don't even try and fill it to like knock the guy down in his tracks. He
looks like he avoids contact. Yeah,
it's soft. I know Twitter was all over it, and FSU Twitter is just soft. There's a picture of Charmin Ultra, like it's all kinds of like crazy things. I mean, but it's the truth. If you can't play that position, why are you on the field? Like, why are you getting this playing time? It's embarrassing. I mean, you're not only embarrassing the team, you're embarrassing yourself. Like as a player, like, I mean, I'm that type of person. Like, if I'm not performing to the expectations that I need to be performing up to, I'm gonna tell coach like, hey, I don't have it today, or like I just put somebody else in because I'm sucking ass. Like, I'd rather my team succeed than me get playing time. But that's the type of person I am. So like these guys, it's just that mentality that we keep coming back to, and where their headspace is.
Yeah, at some point you got to call out the coaches too, because they keep putting them out there.
Yeah.
And again, I get there's not a whole lot behind them, but when you have, like I said, Davian Johnson, Leonard Warner, where you have guys that have been with the program for 3-4 years and they're still making, freshman mistakes, or they just don't show that they have whatever it takes to play, you need to move on from them. And I get, you don't want to go out and play a bunch of freshmen and sophomores against a team like Notre Dame. I understand that. But at the same time, if individuals, give him the start and let's see what happens. But I'm sure he's been talked to about his play and some of, his hesitation and everything. If he starts making those mistakes, just pull him early this time. That just find something that, because again, Florida State fans understand this is a rebuild. We can live with losses this year. We're going to have plenty of them, but they're not going to live with watching seniors and redshirt juniors out on the field making the same mistakes, costing us the same games. Like Dontavius Jackson last year, they just kept rolling him out there and wow. Let's hope we can, again, I just want to see progress as the season goes on, and that starts tonight.
Yeah, progression. That's all I want to see. Get better.
I think that's all any Florida State fan hopes for or wishes for at this point. I mean, we've been through the dungeons of the Willie Taggart era, and that was just absolutely awful. We've got a head coach that I think the majority of the fan base thinks is at least the guy to get us back to a respectable level of play, and then maybe eventually even surpass that. But that has to be seen. We think he does it the right way. Every media member talks highly about him and how he runs, and his ex-players speak the same thing. His ex-coaches speak the same thing. So hopefully that's, going to jumpstart. And like Richie said, it can start tonight. It depends on, you got to have a short leash, all these things. But anything else you guys want to speak on before we go ahead and log off and you guys can get your Saturday started?
I was going to say, the thing that gives me the biggest confidence on Mike Norvell is the Memphis fan base, Memphis players, how highly they talk about him. A Memphis player called our players out a couple weeks ago, said, y'all need to chill before let them work, I'm excited.
We actually had that guy on our podcast the day after he called him out to talk about Coach Norvell, and he said the same. He's like, you need to buy into him, because if you buy in, you're going to win football games under him. Everyone's very complimentary, and we don't need to recap all of this, but Mike Norvell has had the worst start to a head coaching career or first year out of school. And none of it's his fault, right? He didn't have this virus come and have spring shut down and no recruiting. And then Chuba gets hurt and Jordan Travis is hurt in fall camp. He's been dealt a really shitty hand. But now it's, as time goes on, I think we'll see progress. So I do have full confidence in Mike Norvell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's Bud Elliott who came up with the saying year zero, for these new head coaches. And that's exemplary of what Mike Norvell is going through right now. He's been dealt probably the worst hand you've ever been dealt as a head coach in a first year. After the Miami game, I don't remember what it was. He just looked like complete shit and like he lost 10 years off of his life. But that's when this is the hand you've been dealt. Sometimes that's what you look like afterwards, put all your chips on the table to try and do what you're supposed to do and win big. And you just can't. And it's not anything you can do about it other than keep doing what you're doing. So nothing gets him. I fully believe in him still. I don't think it's anything that's coming from him. But other than, getting players out the field, they need to be there. So that's all I've got. Anything else from you guys?
Go Noles.
Go Noles, man.
Go Noles. I want to thank you, Richie, for joining us today. I'm sending out some picks to the people. Hopefully we make some money today. Right. That would be nice. And hopefully we get a Noles cover.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me. I love talking college football, and especially, from a sporting perspective.
Yep, definitely. All right, guys, go Noles. And let's hopefully we spring that upset today.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.